Readers theaters are nice because it takes me out of the front of the classroom. That's material that I would have been just direct instruction. I would have been presenting that on a PowerPoint slide and saying copy notes. And now they're becoming part of the notes. They're actively becoming a person who is having a problem, or a Dr. Saver who's able to step in and save the day. And so it really allows them to become the lesson, which is very helpful as a teacher when you have a 90 minutes block and you don't want to talk the whole 90 minutes. So you put it on them, and they do a great job with it.
So to learn a little bit more about managing our money, we're actually going to do a reader's theater activity. We're going to read a call-in show, Budgets Are Beautiful call-in show. So I'm going to give you copies. Everybody's going to get a copy of the script for the call-in show. So let's pass those back. And I need some volunteers for this. Who would like to volunteer to be Budget Bob? Who wants to be Budget Bob? Trent, you get to be Budget Bob. Michael, you get to be Dr. Saver. Who would like to play Connie? Antonia. Who would like to play Calvin? Lee, come on down. Okay, Faith, let's have you play Minnie. All right. So everybody get your costume set up there. Okay, so we're going to read this Reader's Theater, this play. Everybody has their nice costumes on, so action.
Hello, financial health fans. Welcome to the nation's newest financial advice show, Budgets Are Beautiful. This is the radio call-in show that lets you, the radio listener, get the latest advice on how to manage your family finances. Today, our topic is how to improve your skills at managing your family's finances. Our guest today is successful family financial planner, Dr. Penny Saver. Dr. Saver has helped hundreds of families and has a PhD, MA, and an SUV. Hello, Dr. Saver. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hello, Bob, and hello to all those people who are tuned in today. I am ready to take your questions.
Here's our first caller, Connie from Connecticut. You're on the air, Connie.
Hi, Dr. Saver. I'm having a disagreement with my husband regarding the meaning of some financial vocabulary. He heard someone on another call-in show talking about how to spend disposable income. My husband laughed and said that all of our income is disposable. He said that we dispose of all our income by the end of every month. Sometimes we dispose of our income before the end of the month. I think he was joking, but could you tell me, what do financial planners mean by disposable income?
Well, actually, your husband was not too far off. Disposable income is the money that you have left to spend or save as you wish after you pay your taxes, Social Security, and the other deductions that have been taken out of your gross pay. It is sometimes called net income. While disposable income can be used in many ways, most families have important financial obligations. Rent, car payments, and food bills add up quickly, so tough choices need to be made.
That sounds kind of gloomy, Dr. Saver. Do you have any advice for Connie and her husband on how to get better use out of their disposable income?
Well, financial planners suggest that setting up and sticking to a family budget is the first step towards financial success.
Throughout the radio show, Dr. Saver gives advice to the callers. Here he's having Connie list her income and then list all the things that she's expending her money on. One of the things that we asked students to do is to think about making a list of all of their expenses over the course of a week.
Here's our next caller, Calvin from California. You're on the air, Cal.
Hello, Dr. Saber. Thanks for taking my call. My wife and I started to write a monthly budget, and we learned right away that not all expenses are the same. Some need to stay pretty much the same each month, while others change. Do other people have this same situation? Can you comment on the different types of household expenses?
Well, that's a great question. Families ordinarily have what we call fixed expenses and variable expenses.
Calvin called in with questions about the difference between fixed and variable expenses. We want kids to really understand that the variable portion of our expenses are where we are likely to find those things that we can make changes in the short run that allow us then the opportunity to save money for things like a down payment on a house or a down payment on a car, or to make up for times when unexpected things happen that we need to cover, such as medical expenses that might not be covered by insurance.
Dr. Saver, I hear sometimes advisors say, pay yourself first. In other words, set money aside from your disposable income to put into your savings plan. How does this idea of pay yourself first fit into the family's expenses?
Well, I tell my clients to include their savings goals and a fixed expense as part of their budget. I like this approach because it shows how important saving is to the individual and family's financial health. Under the saving part of the budget, a family or individual could list funds saved for emergencies, as well as other cash set aside for long-term saving and investments.
Here's our next caller, Meanie from Minnesota. You're on the air, Meanie.
I just love this show, Dr. Saver. Here's my question. My sister Emily told me that she heard on television that people might have higher incomes and still have a low net girth. What's all this about net girth? Is it true that people who have higher incomes are also thin?
Well, Minnie, I think you misunderstood your sister. I think she was referring to the idea of net worth, not net girth.
So Minnie clearly has it wrong here. She thinks it's girth, but in fact, it's worth. Your students will find this to be funny, and I think it's a really good opportunity to get them to laugh and enjoy the play. But also really emphasize to the students the content here, that when we're calculating our net worth, we're looking at our assets, those are things that we own, versus our liabilities, those are the things that we owe to others, and that assets minus liabilities is going to give us our net worth.
Can I follow up on that last point? Do you mean to say that you can't tell whether a person is wealthy just by knowing where they live, what they drive, and where they travel?
Well, that's exactly what I mean, Minnie. People who live in big homes, drive extravagant cars, and take around-the-world cruises probably have high incomes. That does not mean that they are wealthy. We measure wealth by calculating net worth. Many people of modest incomes have achieved a high net worth. Many are millionaires, living below their means.
Well, Dr. Saver, that is all the time we have for today's show. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome, Bob. Thanks for inviting me.
Be sure to join us tomorrow when we will speak to Miss Bonnie Bonds, another financial advisor. Bonnie's topic is what is gross about your gross income. Ugh. We hope you'll tune in to the show tomorrow. We'll be waiting for your call.
Okay, let's give them a round of applause. All right, thank you very much. All right, so let's discuss some things that came up during the Reader's Theater. So, what is disposable income? David.
Disposable income is the money that you have left after all the deductions are taken from your paycheck.
Exactly. So it's the money that you have to spend and to save after you get the deductions taken out of your gross pay. It's what actually winds up being in your paycheck that you get. All right. What does Dr. Saver recommend as the 3 parts of the family budget? Jason.
Isn't it income, expenses, and savings?
Exactly. And sometimes he says we actually make the savings portion be part of the expenses in order to make sure that we get our savings as part of our budget each month. What are fixed and variable expenses? Kayla.
Well, fixed expenses are the expenses that are constant each month.
Right.
And then variable expenses are more likely to change in that short amount of time.
Exactly. So give me some examples of each of those.
For fixed expenses, stuff like house payments and car payments.
Right.
And then for variable expenses, like telephone bills and groceries.
Right. Those are the things that can change every month as part of our expenses. Okay. So we heard this really important concept, the concept of pay yourself first. So what does that concept mean? What does it mean to pay yourself first? David.
Paying yourself first is putting your savings as part of your expenses and paying yourself first.
Right, so you're putting your saving as part of the fixed expenses part of your budget in order to make sure that that savings happens. So now I have one more question. What is net worth? Jason.
Isn't it like the measure of your wealth?
Exactly. It's everything that you own minus everything that you owe. All right, perfect. So now let's move on to the next part of our activity here. We're going to look at exercise 8.2a.